Cooper is singing hot dog, hot dirt. Cooper's listening to this video. Hot dog, hot diggity dog. All morning. Good morning, everyone. Hi, guys. Hello. Y'all, I'm fired up this morning. Oh, super fired up. As fired up as I get. And actually, I'll tell you, I don't get too angry about things online anymore because I've been doing this for so long. Like, you want to tell me that my face is ugly? Okay. You want to tell me that I have a lump on my neck? Okay. All the things you want to tell me. That my kids have no discipline. I'm a terrible mom. Blah. All of it. You want to argue with me? Fine. I typically can like take it all. But I'm really mad. I'm really, really, really mad. And I just want to talk about it because I think it is really dangerous. Really dangerous. The comment I received last night. So we shall take a dive into that. Cooper's home today. He got sick last week, and he has some chapping on his face and on his lips and on his nose, and it can be kind of dangerous for someone that doesn't understand that medicine can help, that cream can help, that not scratching, not picking, not pulling, right? And we have to be very careful about staph infections and about different things. So, and it also causes them a lot of anxiety, a lot of anxiety. So we opted this morning to keep him home for one more day just until we can get this cleared up. And he was actually supposed to start outdoor OT, go back to OT today. But it was and it's outside, and it's supposed to be 32 degrees, which is like beautiful in Minnesota. That's like spring weather in Minnesota. And I'm too worried about the air on his face. So we're going to skip that too, which is a bummer because we were really looking forward to going back. Kind of stinks. Everyone else is gone. Sawyer's at school. It's Catholic Schools Week, and his birthday last weekend. So we picked up 30 Dunkin' Donuts and brought those to school today. He was so excited. And Miss Winnie got up at 5:40. But she did sleep straight through till 5:40, right? That's a positive. And hi everyone. So she's her and Harbor are at daycare today. We had a pretty good morning. Tonight Sawyer has a basketball game and I'm presenting to a mom's group locally about our life and autism and acceptance and all the parts. And I don't know how to make it work. I don't know how we're going to make it work. A lot of moving parts. I haven't figured it out yet. I also have, there's one other thing I wanted to share with you. What was it? I don't remember. It has left me. It has left my brain. Anywho, hi everyone. Is it warming up? I heard on the radio today, and I don't know if this is true, that by the end of the week, we will be above average temperatures in everywhere in the US. That could be false, fake news, but I heard that on the radio this morning. Hey Marianne, Cooper's home. We worry about his face. So it's just one of the really hard things with someone who has sensory aversions, and he won't wear chapstick, he won't wear cream, so we have to put it on him when he's sleeping, and that's not much time. That's not much time. And I think even in the middle of the night he probably wipes it off. So what we do is we put it on his face. Cooper, do you want to come say hi? Do you want to come talk about trains? He might come over here. And I have to just kind of sit with him and just talk him through it and be like, nope, we're not wiping that off. Nope, we're going to keep that on our face. We're going to keep that there. And I just sit with them for like 10 minutes and just hope that, some of that gets in there in 10 minutes. But it's like he won't wear Band-Aids. Won't take most meds. It's so hard. It's just like, dude, let us help you. Let us help you. Such is life, right? Nope, I don't have anyone coming over tonight. No, 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 no. Connecticut will be in the 40s. Oh my gosh. We're supposed to be in the 30s, and that is a heat wave here. No, no one thinks about those things, Jen. Honestly, I've been pretty deep into the emotions lately of autism. Oh my gosh, you guys, my page has so much spam right now. If you've gotten a dog message or a dog comment, I'm so sorry. I must have been shared in like some dog group. So I get like all this spam about dogs. And it's funny because I said to Adrienne, I'm like, are you getting a bunch of dog spam? And she's like, no, mine's just for STDs. And I was like, oh, says a lot more about you than it does about me. But burn. My son had a great birthday. He had a great birthday, I think. And then this morning, when I brought him to get donuts for his class, and like Dunkin' Donuts is not, it's not cheap. And we were going through the line, and I was like, "Did you have a good birthday?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I was like, we did a lot of stuff, but I'm like, we did your scavenger hunt, we went to the Mall of America, we did the flyover, shopping, dinner, and now, this today. And he's like, "You did? We did. Thank you." I think sometimes I think we live in a world of stuff, right? And I try to remind my children that they are very blessed. And I think that's okay to remind them of that sometimes. It was really sweet. Cooper rode with us today, and Cooper was being kind of a stinker in the car. I'll say the word stinker. He's being a stinker. And we got to the school like 5 minutes early. And so you have to wait in the car line. And it made Cooper kind of anxious. So he was like opening the car door and like shutting it. And I was reminding him, we can't go on the Amtrak in the spring. If we keep opening the door, that's unsafe. Let's shut the door, And Sawyer was talking to him about it too. And I said, Sawyer, you are a really, really good brother. And he looked at me and he's like, people always tell me that. He's like, do you think I'm a good brother? He's like, I don't know if I am or not. I was like, you are a really, really good brother. And he's like, thanks for saying that. It was really sweet. It was sweet to hear, he is. He's a great brother. Okay, so I want to talk about this. And I don't really think that I get too into the weeds on a lot of stuff. I'll tell you, when I first started sharing on Facebook, I would really get into it. I would fight about things because I wanted to have the last word. I wanted to change someone's mind. I wanted to prove I am right. That's why people fight online, right? Let's be honest. I thought my way of thinking was right. I don't fight online. Bleh. It's not worth it. I mean, there are times when I want to what is that like meme? Just really go at it, but it's not worth it. But I got a comment last night, and I have it here. I'll read it to you. I screenshotted it because I think in my 7 years of sharing, I think this is one of the most detrimental comments that I have ever received. And I've received some awful stuff. I have received, your kid's the R word. I mean, every parent that shares has with the disability, a child with disability has received stuff like this. Like I've read things about awful things, like I should have aborted in the womb, natural selection should have took place. I had the worst thing I've ever received was, um, you know, people with disabilities should be extinct. Like we should just eradicate people. I mean, just awful garbage online. And no, there's no support from Facebook or Instagram or social media. I mean, maybe if you don't do this, you think there is. There's no protection. It, it's awful. And I think one of the ways, Cooper does not have a physical disability, meaning he doesn't appear disabled. He has an invisible disability. So Georgie, I completely disagree. I completely disagree with that, and that's what we're going to talk about in a respectful way. I don't agree with that statement at all, and I think it's really dangerous. And I'm going to tell you why, and we can agree to disagree. So the comment read, I wish that you wouldn't refer to autism as a disability. Autistic people, myself included, just want to be treated like everyone else. That part I agree with. Amen, sister. And being labeled as disabled doesn't really support us. Big disagree. We're not disabled, we're differently abled. So I think the first mistake here, well, there's so many. But the first mistake is that autism is a spectrum, and I think it's important that we remember that. It's a very large and vast spectrum. And I think that's dangerous in itself, because someone who has challenges but can drive or work, get married, have children, speak, use the toilet independently, bathe independently, whatever variety of those things, is technically in the same category, the same diagnosis as someone like my son who can't do any of those things. And so it's not a one-size-fits-all diagnosis. It's not a one-size-fits-all help. So it's really dangerous to lump everyone together, right? I don't know how anyone could disagree with that. So I think it's awesome, amazing that this woman can formulate this thought, type this out, advocate for herself, choose how she wants to be described. I think that's awesome. And I'm proud of her for that. And I hope that Cooper can do that someday. Oh my gosh. I would be tickled if someday Cooper came at me online or came after someone else. Like, hashtag goals, right? I mean, that boy better be respectful, but that would be amazing if he said to me, Mom, this is how I want to be seen. I would be like, Cooper, I fully support you and I'm alongside you. But what you can't do, Cooper, is tell other people how to describe themselves. You can't do that. You just get to speak for yourself. You don't get to speak for the whole spectrum. That's what I would say to him. I mean, gosh, would that be just a trip if he just let me have it? I mean, that would just be great. But anywho, the second part where this is really dangerous, and I'm using the word dangerous, and I'm using dangerous in every sense of the word, is that being labeled as disabled doesn't support us. I want to tell you that that is entirely false. So please know that. Like, that is a false statement. In order to get services and supports in the United States, you need to be diagnosed with a disability like autism, Down syndrome, whatever it may be, cerebral palsy, whatever it may be. Once you have that diagnosis, in the state of Minnesota, you have to be SMRTed. It's called SMRT. You have to be SMRTed. Once you have that piece of paper, you can get Medicaid, which covers your giant medical costs. You can get waivers, which cover things like home modifications, strollers, medical equipment, diapers, camps, occupational therapy, things to keep you safe. Again, you have to have that label of a disability. I don't know what context you would be referring it to it as. I mean, you guys can all disagree with me. Please know I'm gonna defend this the whole way. So keep disagreeing with me. That's fine. Let's keep having this conversation. She is saying being labeled as disabled doesn't support us. In order to get Social Security and to get help with housing, job modifications, safe and reliable transportation, in order to go to school, get an IEP. All of these things need a diagnosis of a disability. If we didn't have a disability, Cooper would not have Medicaid. Cooper would not have a waiver. Cooper would not have special education and an IEP to go to school. You have to think about this. How will he live without SSI? How? Tell me how he'll live. I am going to die someday. He will need to be cared for the rest of his life. The rest of his life. Let that sink in. After I am gone, he could become a ward of the state. Maybe his siblings will take care of him. I pray to God. I don't know that. He will need lifelong care. Now let's get into some of the reasons why it's a disability. I think this is important because I don't know if this comes out. I don't know. And again, I want to just keep repeating. Disability is not a bad word. Hi, sweets. We will go on a train. And we will eat in the dining car for 2 sleeps. And we'll see the whales. And we'll go to the zoo. Okay. You gonna go downstairs? Okay. Love you, home slice. Keep it real. Disability is not a bad word. I'm just going to keep repeating that. Disability is not a bad word. Disability is a tool to help people get the services and supports that they need to live as independently and happily as possible. Individuals with disabilities need accommodations, and that label, whatever you want to call it, helps them obtain those things. So, why does Cooper have a disability? Why? Why? Well, why? Yeah, I don't know. But why? Cooper will need, he needs help getting dressed. He needs help going to the bathroom. He needs help taking his medication. He needs help to get food. He needs all of his meals prepared. He needs help to be showered. He needs help to clean himself. He can't be home alone. He never will be able to. Maybe someday. Oh my gosh. Maybe someday. He will need help. He can never be alone outside. So he has never in his life been alone outside. He has never at 13 in his life been alone in this house. He cannot be alone in a car. He cannot be alone in a public place. He will run into traffic. He is so vulnerable and susceptible to sexual predators, exploitation, financial exploitation, abuse, verbal abuse, physical abuse. He can't communicate pain. He can't communicate abuse. He can't communicate when someone is mean to him. He can't advocate for himself. As his mom, all of us and our family are encouraging him to be as independent as possible. That's our dream, right? So we're practicing all the things to move him as far as we can towards independence. I don't know how far we'll get. I don't know how far. If he has an injury on his body, he picks it. That's from chafing to a pimple to a mosquito bite. He's very susceptible to staph infections. He's very susceptible to infections on his body because he can't and he won't tell us if it happens. Do you know that every day, and this is true, every single day, we check his body for bruises, for wounds, and we will until the day he dies. Someone will have to check his body to make sure that he is safe, that he is healthy. One of my greatest fears is that his appendix bursts. One of my greatest fears is that he could have diabetes or cancer, and we would never know. We would never know. Think how terrifying that is. My 5-year-old said to me when he was like 3, I'll never forget this. I talked about this last night with Adrian. Harbor said to me, my ear hurts. I think I should go to the doctor. Yeah, an ear infection. What if Cooper gets a toothache? So because he can't communicate pain, he screams, he self-injures, he lashes out because he can't communicate. I think it is so dangerous to look at his degree of autism as a different ability. That's a beautiful sentiment. That's beautiful. I think that's great. Where's that box that I can check to get him services and supports and SSI and a waiver? All of those things. How do I get him help? There's a big controversy about special needs versus disability. So that's a big controversy. And I'll tell you what my opinion on that is. I think that, so I'll tell you the facts that I know and then my opinion. Adult advocates, as far as I know, and I've heard besides this one woman, prefer disability because it's not cutesy. It accurately describes they feel themselves and gets them the services and supports they need. So I've seen a lot of adult advocates get frustrated with parents for saying special needs, which I say. I use them interchangeable. And this is the reason why. I know if I say special needs, I'm going to get a jab from the adult advocate community. If I say disability, I get jabs as well. And I think what happens is a lot of parents with newly diagnosed kids don't like the term disability. And I can admit that I didn't either. When Cooper was first diagnosed, I remember thinking, like, there is no way that my son has a disability. He's perfect just the way he is. He's going to be just perfect. And I remember, like, just thinking, like, it was, like, a dirty word. I remember thinking it was just bad. Like, don't put that anywhere near my baby. For a long time. Now that he's 13, I see that it helps him so much. It helps accurately describe. It's a tool. It's a tool in our toolbox. Like, can you imagine if I didn't acknowledge that he was disabled and I didn't get Medicaid, I didn't get him a waiver? It's terrifying. It's like terrifying to think that there's people. And like essentially by like taking away the word disability, I'm not taking away any of his needs. I'm just taking away the help and support for his needs. I don't know. I just really worry. I really worry that people that are in positions of power and that are making decisions might see something like that and be like, "Oh, autism, it's just quirky and fun. Let's remove that. Like remove the services and supports for that." Do you know that I can't sleep at night sometimes? I can't sleep. It started when I was 40. It started when Cooper turned 13, and I stopped I started having panic attacks about, and I'll be morbid here for a minute, so stick with me, but I know I'm not alone. I started having panic attacks about dying, and I started thinking about my own mortality way too much. And am I healthy enough? And what happens when I die? And I was thinking, like, I had like these visions, like at 3 a.m., of being on my deathbed or getting cancer young or whatever, and leaving Cooper and him waiting in the window for me. Because I can say with certainty, with absolute certainty, Cooper does not understand death. It's too abstract. I am Cooper's person. I'm doing everything to get him other people. But right now, it's just me. He loves his dad, don't get me wrong. He loves Sawyer, he loves his siblings. But I am his person. And I cannot leave this boy. I cannot. I have to live forever. And you and I know I can't. So there will come a day when I have to leave this boy. And he probably won't understand. And I have to trust in the world to take care of him. The most vulnerable, precious, challenging, wonderful, complicated boy. A man. I have to leave him. I don't want to ever leave him. And I will tell you the most frustrating thing, and I'm stepping into it right now, is all the comments that say, just trust God. I think that is beautiful, and I am a Christian. But guys, I have to set up his future. I have to find him a group home. I have to make his brother his guardian. I have to have money for him to live after I'm gone. I can't trust people. If we don't acknowledge this as a disability. Angelica, how do you know she's young? Her photo didn't appear young. That's interesting. That's an interesting thought. I don't think autism is in our case, is something that Cooper has a lifelong disability. And it blows my mind that I have to defend it. But please know, when you hear your lawmakers and the people in your world making decisions about people with disabilities, please think of Cooper. I just asked that before I lived in this world. I had no connection to the world of disability. I had no idea. I've probably said ignorant statements. I've probably said awful things. I don't know. I'll read comments like, individuals with disabilities just get a job, or Cooper's going to be a drain on the system. Like, I read these things, right? It's like punishing the person for their disability. Cooper, please think of him, think of him. Think of these precious children that are growing up. They will be men someday, and women, and adults, and 50 and 60. It's hard for me to think about because I don't know what the future holds. And I love to talk about the waiver system. I don't a lot because it's based on your state. So a lot of times if I talk about waivers, it can be frustrating for people that don't live here and don't have it. Do you guys know why waivers are offered to families? It's because children like Cooper used to live in institutions. They did. They were encouraged to give up their kids, 100 years ago. The last institution was closed in the state of Minnesota when Cooper was like 5. And I know that because his godmother was the director of Health and Human Services for the state of Minnesota. So I knew that. And the reason that waivers are offered to families is because it's an alternative to the institution. It allows families to keep kids home. It allows them to live their best lives. It supports families. And it's actually cheaper to give a family a waiver for a child like Cooper than to do the institutionalized living. All true. I just spoke in Grand Portage, and this wonderful teacher said that she had a cousin who had autism and was institutionalized. And his parents, so it would have been, I don't know if it was her aunt and uncle or how that worked, but they wanted to keep him home. They wanted to keep him home. But there were no services and supports to do so. Disability wasn't viewed like it is now. They were viewed as lesser citizens. They were plucked out of their homes and hidden away. So that's why whenever you hear, Grandpa so-and-so say, whenever you hear, Grandpa so-and-so say, there was none of this autism stuff when I was younger. There was. We just didn't know it. We didn't see him. Remember that. And there is a really, I'm going to share this in a reel, but search Meadowbrook, but not when you're ready. And it's a documentary on an institution. And there's this famous photo. It's like pretty viral of this group of like 2 or 3 boys, and they're just in diapers, and they're old. I mean, they're like Cooper's age. And they're so thin. And you can see their ribs, and they have burns and scars on their back, and they're sitting by this radiator on this cold cement floor. And it's this like grainy black and white photo. And it shows them. It is the most heartbreaking thing. If you want a look at the history of disability, and I think every parent should, when you're ready, it gives me goosebumps. When you're ready to know where we're going as advocates, we have to know where we came from. If you want to know why you advocate for individuals like our kids to be in this world, it's because of Meadowbrook. And they kept the kids in diapers. They kept them drugged. And the thing that sticks with me more than I can even tell you is that these kids have scars on their back. And it's from sitting next to the radiator. It's burns because it was warm. And let me tell you something about Cooper. He loves warmth. We call him like a snuggly marshmallow. He loves warmth and cozy. He always has blankets with him. And I've heard this about so many individuals on the spectrum, that they love to be warm. They love that tight pressure, right? Like they love, like, Cooper will wrap up in blankets. He just went downstairs. He has 2 blankets with him at all the time. And I think it's so important to know that I think about, like, him needing warmth and being in one of those places and not being allowed to have it. It just, like, haunts me. It haunts me. Back to the waivers. Not every state's different. So contact your social worker, and in the state of Minnesota, your social worker is your gateway person. You have to get SMRTed. Has to be proven that you have a disability. You have to do it every year. And that's your gateway to services and supports. And some states are better than other states. Yep, so it's the Katie Beckett waiver. Yep, here it's called TEFRA. But I'll tell you, Minnesota just got rid of its TEFRA fees. So Minnesota's a phenomenal state. Anywho, I just wanted to share that because it just really fired me up. It just blows my mind that, where it all ended is like, I don't want my son. Like, what person wants their child to have a disability? Like, I want Cooper to live an independent, safe life. I want him to do all the things that other people are doing. But he won't be able to. And accepting that has taken time. And I accept that. And we're going to live his best life, right? But now we're having to defend disability. Disability is not bad. It's not a dirty word. It's not. Okay, I did share a link for my supporter page. I'm going to continue this discussion over there. Definitely come join if you're looking for a place to talk, feel supported. I think it's important that we have a safe place to talk about this stuff. So I'm probably going to get torn up and eaten alive here. But I'll die on this hill. So yeah, come join. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to go check on Coops. Okay.